Good morning.
Hello. Hey, it's nice to have you girls. So, I have, give me just 1 second. Yeah, Dania, thanks for being here. I'm calling Angie and Milton. But for now, I'm just gonna mark your attendance, Dania.
Okay. I think
Alright.
there's another person.
Oh, yeah. Give me 1 second. Milton is here. Okay. I'll also mark your attendance, Milton. Now I'm gonna share my screen. Also, before I forget, I need to record this. Alright, it's recording and I'm gonna share my screen. Okay, so let's start. So as you guys know, we have a writing advanced session today. And today's topic is about dangling and misplaced modifiers. So let's talk about modifiers. What is a modifier? A modifier is an expression that limits or describes another word or phrase. For example, little boats. In this case, little describes the boats. There's another thing when we're learning basic grammar that we have for modifiers. So Dania, could you tell me what is that word that we use to describe the words that describe nouns? Dania.
Quantifiers?
Okay, I'm gonna give you, we have verbs, we have nouns, adjectives, prepositions.
Oh, it would
with
be adjectives. For nouns, it would be
adjectives.
adjectives.
That's correct.
Yeah, I was thinking about it like numerically.
Oh, yeah, that also can modify a noun. Very good. So, in this case, when we talk about modifiers, we're talking about more than adjectives. What's the difference between an adjective and a modifier? They're basically the same. However, when we talk about adjectives, we talk about one single word that's modifying our noun. When we talk about modifiers, we have multiple words in conjunction that working to modify our noun. And we're gonna see that right now. The way we explain this is by a very common mistake that we do, and we call it dangling modifier. So a dangling modifier is a word or a phrase which dangle because they have no word in the sentence to describe. Let's look at this example. While taking a shower, the doorbell rang. So the doorbell rang is our subject. This is the modifier. While taking a shower. You notice it's a group of words instead of a single adjective. This is the modifier in this case. While taking a shower. Alright. This is supposed to modify the next thing that's along with it. In this case, is the doorbell rang. So if we say, while taking a shower, the doorbell rang. The doorbell was taking a shower? Well, that doesn't make sense. Instead, you should write that someone was taking the shower. So let's look at this example. In addition to being ugly and inappropriate, the students often make grammatical errors on their signs. We probably don't mean to call the students ugly and inappropriate. It is the signs that are ugly and inappropriate. Now, what would be the solution to that? So let's try to revise those sentences again, and let's see if we can fix them. These are the solutions. So while I was taking a shower, you notice I is highlighted. While I was taking a shower, the doorbell rang. Now it makes sense. I'm saying that it was me who was taking the shower. And also this happened. The doorbell rang. Now let's look at this one. While taking a shower, comma, I heard the doorbell ring. It's much better. And also this one. In addition to being ugly and inappropriate, the student signs often contain grammatical errors. Now we're not calling the students ugly and inappropriate. We're calling ugly and inappropriate the signs instead of the students, even if that was not our initial intention. So that's a quick look at dangling modifiers. Now I want you guys to tell me why do we call them dangling modifiers? And I have here a clue. For this, I'd like to hear Milton. So Milton, please unmute your microphone and speak.
Hello, teacher. Sorry, what is the question?
So what is a dangling modifier and why do we call them dangling?
Sorry.
Do you have any clue? Look at the image.
It's like adjective that define the next word.
That's right. But it is misplaced. So why do we call them dangling?
Okay, I don't know.
Okay, that's all right. Let's see with Dania. Dania, why do you think that we call them dangling modifiers?
Because in theory, they don't need to be there. They're like an accessory of the sentence.
Very good. It's an. Let's look at the sentences again. So, in this case, you call them accessories, which is good. It shouldn't be an accessory. Oh, cannot do the highlighting. Okay. So, in this case, while taking a shower, this is the dangling modifier. It is dangling because it is there, but it's not doing anything. It's just doing an addition instead of doing the proper modifier to this noun. So we call it dangling because it's there, but it's not doing anything. It's just right above the edge. So that is the reason we call them dangling. Dangling is just a synonym that we use for hanging. It's the same. So hanging and dangling modifiers are basically the same. Now we're gonna do some practice. I prepared this test from Khan Academy. Found it to be really good. So give me 1 second, I'm gonna open it. In the meantime, I want you to please mute your microphones. So Dania and Milton, please mute your microphones. Thank you. Okay, I guess it. Okay, it doesn't open, so suppose I need to edit this. Give me 1 second, please. Okay, I got it. I just need you to copy and paste this. Oh, it's there. It was just low. Okay, I'm gonna zoom in and we have our first question. It says, which of these options completes the sentence in a way that makes more sense? So we have,
Sorry, teacher, I cannot see anything.
oh, thank you. See what happened. I'm gonna stop sharing and I'm gonna share again. How about now? Do you see it now?
Yes.
Great. So this is a test from Khan Academy. It already tells us if we mark a solution, it's gonna tell that's right, that's wrong. That's good about it. So it says, which of these options completes the sentence in a way that makes more sense? Daydreaming about her favorite book, and we have a tree suddenly smacked her face. Imani suddenly walked into a tree. So Daniel, think about this and which of these phrases will better suit the modifier that we have right here?
I will go with option B.
B. Okay. So daydreaming about her favorite book, Imani suddenly walked into a tree. Now we have a clue. This is probably a foreign name, so we're probably talking about a person. So why do you think this is the correct answer?
Because in the modifier, they make a reference to a woman, her. So the logical thing would be to continue the sentence speaking about this person.
That's perfect. Very good. You notice the her. So it's probably talking about a woman. Also, if it's daydreaming, well, it will be not possible for a tree to be daydreaming. Unless we were talking about metaphorically, which I don't think is the case, but so very good. Let's see if that is correct. Check. Correct. Very good. Let's continue. But before, let me see because I think I'm getting some messages. No, it's not here. Let's not worry about that. Next question. Which of these options completes the sentence in a way that makes more sense? Again, the same type of question. Having run around with other dogs for an hour, bed sounded like a great idea. Mr. Peanut Butter was ready for bed. Milton, which one of these options you think is correct?
I think that sounds like a great idea.
Alright. Having run around with other dogs for an hour, that sounded like a great idea. So let me ask you this. Who was running with other dogs for an hour? The vet? The vet was running with other dogs?
No,
So why do you think vet sounded like a great idea? Why do you think this is the option?
because I think when say in the B, Mr. Peanut Butter, I don't know it's a dog or it's a person, and it was a doubt for me.
Alright, so we know that there was someone, in this case you don't know if it was a human or if it was a dog. We know that there was someone who was running around with other dogs for about 1 hour. Okay, we know that. So the clue is that it was obviously probably a dog or a human. Now we have two options here. We have two subjects. The bed sounded like a great idea and Mr. Peanut Butter was ready for bed. If we will say bed sounded like a great idea, that will be the same as saying the vet was running with other dogs for an hour. So I don't think that is correct. Instead, we have Mr. Peanut Butter, which sounds like a pet name, and it makes sense. If it's a pet, he was probably running around with other dogs for an hour, and after that, he was ready for bed. So let's check if that is correct. Okay, that is correct. Next question. Okay. After having eaten a handful of jalapenos, my tongue was on fire. I felt my tongue was on fire. So I like to go with Milton again, if you understood the previous question. So after having eaten a handful of jalapenos, you know that after this, we were supposed to talk about the subject who was just doing this action. So knowing that, which one do you think is the option?
B. I felt like my tongue was on fire.
Okay, after having eaten a handful of jalapenos, I felt my tongue was on fire. Okay, let's check if that is correct. Great work. It says it is correct. So please explain me. Why is this one and why is not this one?
Because it's talking about the same person and not about the tongue.
That is correct. It's talking about the person. So when we have a sentence like this, and I mean a phrase, we already have a clue that if we make a description right after the comma, we're supposed to make a mention of the subject. If we were to say, after having eaten a handful of jalapenos, my tongue was on fire, it will be the same as saying the tongue was eating a handful of jalapenos, and that it's impossible. But that is the reason. All right, and final question. Is it? Yeah. So stepping off the karaoke stage, Jack was met with a raucous round of applause. The crowd broke into a raucous round of applause for Jack. So, Dania, look at it and think about the options and tell me which one is correct.
I will go with A.
Okay, let's see if that is correct. Check. Great work, it says. Which it will be stepping off the karaoke stage. Jack was met with a raucous round of applause. So why do you think that is the correct option instead of this one?
Because of the context of the situation, like a crowd, it's usually the name that we use for the public when someone goes to a concert. And this is not a concert, this is a karaoke night. So I thought that it needed to sound like more, I don't know how to say it, like familiar, like something that reflected a small crowd instead of a big public.
All right. So, well, in this case, you got it right that we're talking about a karaoke stage. So we're probably talking about a presenter and a crowd. In this case, there is still a crowd because it is a karaoke stage, even if it's not a concert. So, but the clue here is stepping off the karaoke stage, bajándose del escenario. Entonces, after that, we know that we have to mention who was the person who se bajó del escenario, who stepped off the karaoke stage. In this case, as we're mentioning first the crowd, it will be very unlikely of a crowd to stepping off of a karaoke stage. it is more likely that it was just one person. So in this case, we have Jack, which supposedly is just the presenter of that karaoke stage, was met with a raucous round of applause. So that will be the reason. But the contextualization is also very good. Now let's continue. Oh, did I check that? Yeah, that was correct. Okay, now please mute your microphones again. Thank you. Now we're gonna talk about misplaced modifiers. This is a little bit easier than the angling modifiers because we're not talking about groups of words, but the placement of some nouns and how they represent some meaning or another. So a misplaced modifier is a word or phrase placed next to some other word or phrase that it does not intend to modify. We have here, there was a debate regarding the bill to provide aid to homeless people in the Senate. Let's read it again. There was a debate regarding the bill to provide aid to homeless people in the Senate. Wait, there are homeless people in the Senate? We probably don't mean to say that there's homeless people in the Senate. We're probably saying that the bill was about homeless people. So we need to revise that and rewrite that again. Revise the misplaced modifier by moving the modifier next to the word which is actually modifying. So there was a debate in the Senate regarding the bill to provide aid to homeless people. You notice how I'm not saying right now that there's homeless people in the Senate, but I just changed it in the Senate so that the bill was clear and was just providing access to aid to the homeless people. So we call that a misplaced modifier. A very common misplaced modifier that we often commit is only. So let's look at what a single only can make when talking about the same sentence. And we have here the same sentence by changing the position of the only, and here what is the result. So the way I like you guys to read this is first read what is on the left and then go to the right. Left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. So I want Dania to please help me with the first three examples. Please open your microphone and go ahead.
Only she told him that she loved him. No one else told him. He is sad. She told only him that she loved him. She never said, I love you to anyone else. She told him that only she loved him. She said no one else loved him. She is being abusive.
Okay, thank you. And let's finish with the final two with Milton. Milton, go ahead.
She told him that she only loved him. I love you, but I'm not in love with you. This sentence sounds like a breakup line. She told him that she loved only him. She doesn't love anybody else. Oh, sweet.
All right. So that was some examples of what an only can do. And so the advice here is you already come with an idea. And so that idea is often misrepresented by the thing we write about. If we want, these are some of the ideas that we have in mind. So no one else told him, and he said, well, I probably want to say this. The same if I said, she said no one else loved him. she is being abused, I would probably want to say she told him that only she loved him. So we have to be careful where we put those modifiers, because depending on that, we could come up with extremely different meanings. Now we also have squinting modifiers. Squinting is just a synonym as to the word blur, which is not very clear. It's exactly that, modifiers that are not very clear. And so we have this definition. Squinting modifiers are misplaced modifiers which seem to modify two words. All right, we have ambiguity here. The people who worked for him sometimes gave him presents. We have two subjects. The people who worked for him and the people who gave him presents. There's two kinds of people, and we have the modifier sometimes. So, well, in this sentence, we have a lot of ambiguity, because sometimes is modifying either the people who work for him or the people who gave him presents. So it says the people sometimes work for him or they sometimes gave him presents. Which one of the two are you trying to say? We're probably trying to say one of the two. So we need to make that clear. So revise the squinting modifiers by changing the word order so there is no ambiguity. This is the people who sometimes worked for him gave him presents. The emphasis right here is on the people who sometimes work for him. I'm making clear that that people sometimes gave me presents, as opposed to this one. Let's look at it. The people who work for him gave him presents sometimes. So sometimes that people gave him presents. And finally, sometimes the people who work for him gave him presents. And that's it. That's how we make more clear who was doing what and at what quality. In this case, at what time. Sometimes is trying to modify the cycles that's around the action. Also, infinitives. So we're going to talk about split infinitives. So before we do that, it's important to make sure that you guys know what is an infinitive. So an infinitive is just a verb that sums up the infinitive word plus two. So that will be the same verb that we have, except with an S or with without an ID. It's just the original form of the verb, and we add sometimes to. So we have to choose, to dance, to learn, to explain, to go, to be. That's an infinitive. Now we also make some mistake when we split infinitives. So split infinitives are modifiers that are placed between the preposition to and the verb in the infinitive. Like this. Dentists encourage children to regularly brush their teeth. Try to not be late. We're splitting the infinitives right here. The dentists encourage children to regularly brush their teeth. You see, to, brush, these are supposed to be together. And we're splitting them because they're not longer together. As the same happens here. Try to not be late. What I'm trying to say is try not to be late. So I'm not supposed to split to with be in this case. The modifier regularly is splitting the infinitive to brush, as in the dentist example. So what will be the solution for that? Dentists encourage children to brush their teeth regularly. Try not to be late. And that's it. Now finally, we have some exceptions to that case of the split infinitive. And it's that some split infinitives are acceptable because the modifier cannot be moved without creating an awkward sentence. As in this one, police are looking for a suspect who tried to sexually assault an army officer. Think about that. Police are looking for a suspect who tried to sexually assault an army officer. And also this one, prices are expected to more than double next year. In these exceptions, we're talking about meaning, and there are some times where we need to explain that it is a very exclusive occurrences in the thing that we're trying to say. So we need to split that infinitive in order to make clear who did what. And that will be it. Now we're gonna have some final practice. Before that, getting some messages. Give me 1 second because someone's writing on Skype. Is it here? Yeah, it's for the other group. All right. So final practice. I have a couple of sentences, and the idea is that you fix those sentences. Flashing lightning and thunder, the little bunny struggled through the storm. Now, before we fix the that sentence, it is important that we know what is the mistake here. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing a fixing. So, Daniel, look at this sentence and tell me what's wrong with it.
I think it's the first part.
Flashing lightning.
Lightning and thunder.
Okay, this one is correct because this is the modifier. Flashing lightning and thunder. So this is acting like an adjective. However, we have our noun. The little bunny struggled through the storm. So we're talking about the bunny. It is very unlikely that we're saying that the bunny flashed and lighted and thunder. So we probably need to fix the way we portray the subject. Let's look at the examples that we had before. So while taking a shower, the doorbell rang. It is very unlikely that the doorbell was taking a shower. So we probably need to add a person. This is the solution for that. While I was taking a shower, the doorbell rang. It is very, very similar in this case. Flashing lightning and thunder. The little bunny struggled through the storm. So again, the little bunny is not flashing or lightning and thunder. So try to fix that and write it in the chat. All right? So as to make more sense. And we're going to see the solution after that. I'm going to give you 5 minutes for that. Also, Milton, write down your idea, and I'm gonna ask you also, how do you think that we can fix that sentence? This one is correct. The flashing lightning and thunder. This part is correct. All right. Through the storm struggle the little bunny. Okay, thank you for that. Now, Milton, do you have your answer?
I think is
No, but write it down.
it's difficult to get a little bunny into a storm. I don't know.
Okay. Well, this is the answer. In this case, this largely depends on our creativity. So we know that this is our modifier. So after this, we're supposed to always talk about the thing that is causing this, or that this is modifying. So flashing lightning and thunder is probably talking about a storm. So right after that, we need to mention the storm. The storm did what? Rage. Now we also need to add the little part of the bunny. So the bunny struggled. I in this case, I add the word rage. The storm rage. Flashing lightning, thunder, the storm rage as the bunny struggled. This will be the answer. However, there are multiple answers to that. Let's look at Daniel's. Flashing lightning and thunder, through the storm struggle the little bunny. Through the storm. Yeah, that one is also correct because you're talking right after the modifier. You're talking about the storm. So this one is correct. Through this, and also this is a very fascinating word that you did that. Through the storm struggled the little bunny. In this case, as I'm using this, I can both talk about at the same time about the storm and also the bunny. So very good. Okay, now we're gonna do this one. Running around on his little hamster wheel, Albert watched his pet exercise. Running around on his little hamster wheel, Albert watched his pet exercise. So let's try to find the mistake in this sentence. Was Albert running around on his little hamster wheel? Let's see what Milton thinks about that. Milton, what do you think is the mistake in this sentence?
I think the mistake is the little hamster win because I don't know, it's difficult. Because the sentence doesn't explain how Albert running around. Uh,
Let me ask you this. We have this sentence. Running around on his little hamster tree, Albert watched his pet exercise. This particular sentence, who do you think is running around on his little hamster wheel? Is it Albert? Albert. Okay, but Albert, we know that Albert watched his pet. His. So Albert has a pet. So we know that probably Albert is not a pet because Albert has a pet. You know that?
So is the pet that is running around?
Exactly. So the pet is supposedly running around on his little hamster wheel. All right. So you notice that is the pet that's supposed to do the running around on his little hamster wheel. This has a mistake because it says like it's it poses it like Albert was running around on his little hamster wheel, and it shouldn't be like that. So let's try to fix that. Write down your answer. You can think about that to make it better. Also, Dania, think about that and write it down on the Skype chat, and we're gonna revise it. Okay, it seems like I got an answer. Running around on his little hamster wheel, Albert Pet was being watched while he exercised. Okay, how about Milton? Remember to write it down, Milton.
All right.
Yes, on the Skype chat. Okay, Albert watched his pet exercise while it was running around on his little hamster wheel. Right, so let's look at the answer. Running around on his little hamster wheel, we leave that unchanged. The critter exercised while Albert watched. Now with this sentence, we're making sure that the critter, we don't know if it's a hamster, if it's a rat. There was something that was running around on a hamster wheel. Well, in this case, it's fine if you guys write the hamster. In this case, I say the critter exercised while Albert watched. We're making sure that was the critter, not Albert, who's a human. Now let's look at your answers. First, Dania. running around on his little hamster wheel. Very good, because we'll still need to keep on that descriptive phrase, modifier phrase, I'm sorry. Albert's pet was being watched while it exercised. Very good. You're making sure that it was the pet who was running around on his little hamster wheel. This is perfect. And Milton. Albert watched his pet exercise while he was running around on his little hamster wheel. This is actually good, but you're not doing the descriptive, the modifier phrase. The modifier phrase is running around on his little hamster wheel. So you're supposed to leave that untouched. After that comes the subject. In this case, is the hamster, the critter, the rat, whatever you want to put. The idea is to fix it. And that will be it, guys. I wonder, do you have questions about this?
No.
I'm good.
All right, that's good. So I'll see you in the next class. Take care and goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you, teacher.
Thank you, teacher, a lot.
All right.